So you want to mod your HasLab pack, but you don't want to break it taking it apart? Let me show you how to do it the right way.
Switch me on.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Proton Pack is Not a Toy. My name is Matt, and today, like I said, we're going to take the HasLab pack apart. If you've seen the Adam Savage video, you've seen him dismantle his and did it not so lovingly, kind of in a rush, and ended up having to cut some wires, and he went and cut a plastic part on the inside and still had trouble with it and ended up just being maybe a screw that he missed in the process. That might lead you to think that there might be a little bit of a obstacle of getting this apart, but there's kind of an easy way to do it, and I was going to show you how to do that here today. To start off, I already removed the wand and the loom. Before you really get to the back side of it, you're going to want to remove a lot of stuff from the front. So the bumper and cyclotron need to come off. The fake elbow over here just slides off, and then I believe this comes out as well. There you go. So you can just take the cyclotron completely off there, of the outside. The inner workings need to come out too, because this bolt will keep the front, all of it on together if you don't remove it. So that's going to help you out a lot. Also, in the process, when you are taking off some of the screws, you're going to have the beam line and filler tube come off just because they're held on just by small screws on the back. So you might want to go ahead and take this loom cable off, and then when you unscrew this, these will just fall out of place and you can put them right back real easily. It's not hard. And then I would also suggest, since you're going to be most likely having it face down, I would take off the ion arm end cap. Now, let's flip it around and take off the stuff on the other side. If your pack has an Alice frame on it, go ahead and remove that. I don't need to show you that process, so I already did that part of it. You might think that you need to take the screws out of the battery area, but you don't. That will stay all as one piece. And then you'll see there are many holes. Some of the screws are close to the surface, and then some of them are inset pretty far. So you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, one that's rather thin and long, to get into some of these deep slots. And I would also recommend have some way to keep your hardware organized so you don't lose it in the process. But all of the little screws in the back are the same size, so you don't necessarily need to compartmentalize them or anything like that. So I'm going to start with the ones that are closer to the surface, and they just come out as easily as you would expect. So I can just kind of fly through this process and then pick up with you guys when I get to the longer ones here in a moment. All right, there's about 8 screws that are close to the surface. One of them's still in there. It'll come out once I flip it over, or I can get something to dig it out, but it's ready to come out. And then there's 8 or 9 that are farther inset. Again, like I said, there's a couple here that when you unscrew the screw, you'll hear something come off. I believe it's that one, bump, and this one, right below the battery compartment. If it's not that one, then it's this one. There it is. Okay, so this one and this one are the ones that have the beam line and filler tube attached to them. So you can just grab those and set them aside. You didn't break it by having those fall off. They were just held on by those screws because that's a thin part of the pack where they had to pretty much just have that not connected to the front side of the pack. It's connected to the rear side on the motherboard side here. So again, the rest of them are going to come out, and they're going to come out really with no major issues. There's nothing else that's going to come off the front of the pack. So just loosen these up. Some of them may come off with your screwdriver as you pull them out. If not, some of them will just need to be kept up with when you turn it over so you don't lose them. But like I said, they're all the same length. They're all pretty thin and short, and it won't take you long to get them all out. You just have to make sure you have them all before you try to dig them out. So I would recommend having a flashlight so you can see in some of the dark crevices, because some of them are pretty deep and you might think you have them all, but there might be one or two that you've missed. So double check yourself, make sure you have them, and then when you're done, flip this over and be ready to catch any of the screws that might fall out the back when you flip it. All right, now I'm going to turn it over, and hopefully all of these screws don't run everywhere. You can see quite a few of them did come out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. And I'll just double check to see if that's all of them. Oh, I missed a screw. This one's very deep. There we go. My screwdriver is just barely small enough to fit all the way down in there in that hole. That was the last one I didn't have. So now it should lift off pretty easily. It does kind of clip into place. So take your time, like I said, unclipping everything. There. And as you can see, as I pull it apart, there is a couple of wires here, and there is a little yellow pin. I'll show you when I pull it out. That connects to a little spot on the electronics board that just says battery. You just got to wiggle it a little bit, and that will come loose. And I've taped it in place right here. You will see that some of your wires will have some masking tape on them, just to kind of keep them in a controlled place. And I added one piece right there to this so that the wires don't get smashed when I put it back together. So there. Now you have the motherboard. It still has the battery case right here. So this is where your D-cell batteries are. That comes off with the back, and then the rest is all mounted to the back side of the pack. So if you wanted to change out the V-hook There's a couple of screws right here on the inside where you can loosen it right there. If you want to change out the ribbon cable, there are 3 screws right here that are holding it in place. And one thing that I did notice when I was taking it apart, the 2 long, bigger bolts that go on the back, if you put an Alice frame on the pack, they can only go so far because the back side of the cyclotron is right here, right up at the back. So that's why there's not much clearance once you get to that nut. It's just going to go that far and not any farther, because generally if you're a pack builder, you think, oh well, I've got all this room once I get past the motherboard and fit everything inside the cyclotron area. For this pack, you don't have that convenience because it does have this cyclotron setup that does go all the way to the back. There's a couple other places of things where it has screws where you can take different parts off and maybe replace things. The speaker is up here. And you've got all the wiring and stuff that is over my head. But that's the way to take it apart without having to cut anything or snap anything off. It's just a bunch of screws and that one little wire that connects. I'll show you the electronics board. There's a little yellow section right there, and that's where your yellow pin clicks back in. So once you're done, like I said, when you're putting it back together, make sure that pin is in there, and then make sure that you route your wire maybe through one of these gaps. That way your battery doesn't get messed up from the wires being smashed. And now you can do whatever mods on the inside that you want and put it back together in the reverse order, and you should be good to go. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.